Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Thank everybody for coming to tonight's meeting. We will start the meeting with the invocation by John Davis from Restoration Church, and Joe Cronin will lead us in the pledge.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to come here tonight and participate in your government. We thank you for these leaders who give of their time and lead St. Charles County. I pray your blessings upon them all. We pray for them to make wise decisions, and may they continue to lead our county in a strong manner, strong economically, strong socially, strong aesthetically, and Lord, by your grace, strong spiritually. We thank you and bless this meeting tonight in the name of our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Roll call.
Councilmember Joe Cronin.
Here.
Councilmember Mike Elam.
Here.
Councilmember Dave Hammond.
Here.
Councilmember Joe Brazel.
Here.
Councilmember Terry Hollander.
Here.
Councilmember Mike Klinghammer.
Here.
Councilmember John White.
Here.
Now we'll start with public comments. We'll allow each person to have 3 minutes. We'll have 3 speakers for each topic, 3 pro and 3 con, or you can talk about anything else you'd like to talk about county government. It doesn't have to be on an agenda. Can we have our first speaker, please? Anybody? Yeah.
Okay. I'm still shy. Good evening, members of the council, county executive. My name is Forrest Gossett, G-O-S-S-E-T-T. I live at 1410 Devonshire County Drive in the Golf Club of Wentzville. I come tonight to speak about the progress we've made on fixing the dangerous highway conditions on 61 going through Piney Road and Highway P. On November 23rd, 2009, I watched a 16-year-old girl die at that intersection. My car was right in front of hers when she pulled out in front of traffic with cars probably coming down at 70, 80 miles an hour. I got over to her, and 2 or 3 of us, we put our hand on her shoulder in time to watch the life go out of her body. I swore at that point that we had to do something. 2 years later, we had, a month after that, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, Mark Schlinkman did a story that said, this stretch of road is so dangerous that 13 people had died since 2005. By 2011, 15 had died. And that started a process in Wentzville and Flint Hill and the surrounding areas. The former mayor of Wentzville, Paul Lambie, wrote a passion letter to MoDOT. Mary Tell, the young lady sitting right here in the striped shirt, got 1,100 signatures on a petition saying, please do something. And then the board of Wentzville wrote a letter. I was on the board for 2 years. We wrote a letter to the governor, said, please help us. Had a wonderful meeting in Wentzville City Hall in June of 2012. Reached a consensus. MoDOT said something needs to be done. In fact, MoDOT said, this is such a dangerous stretch of road, it qualifies for double fines. So that was step number 1. And it has slowed traffic down. Of course, made a lot of people mad. When I was on the board, people called me and said, I got a ticket on Highway 61. I said, well, how fast are you going? Oh, 75 miles an hour. I rest my case. It's not intended for that. These are at-grade crossings. It's the same as if you had an 8-grade crossing at exit 208 or exit 209 in Wentzville. It's dangerous. So what came forward was an agreement among Wentzville and MoDOT, and we thought the county, to develop plans to put in, to fix those issues with roundabouts, with overpasses, with whatever the solution was. When I left office last year, we were well on the way toward making it happen, and well on the way this year from what I've understood. In fact, MoDOT is, we understand now, ready to put out bids for contracts for design. I got to thank the county for everything the county has done, everything MoDOT done, everything the city of Wentzville's done, everything our citizens have done to try to make this happen. My elected representatives tell me we may have a snag right now. I'm not going to get into the rumors of why we have a snag. I just hope that from the county's perspective that you support this 100%. And if you're not going to support it, please, please, please tell we the citizens of Western St. Charles County, of Wentzville and Flint Hill, tell us why you oppose it and give us a solution so that we can start the letter writing campaign again and so that we can get folks, so that we can do the petitions, because we know you're on our side. There's no doubt about that. Where good people come together, great things can happen. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. But I don't want to watch another 16-year-old girl die at the intersection of P and 61, and you don't either. That's not what this is all about. You want it to happen. So please, if this solution that we have in place with MoDOT is not the solution, and it's going to be delayed, again, I just ask you, tell us why. Otherwise, please, 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 from the bottom of our hearts in Wentzville and Flint Hill and all of them down that corridor, please help us make that a safer stretch of road. It's not your fault that population has outstripped that road, nor is it MoDOT's fault. Those things happen. But we have it, and we have the ability to make it better. Thank you, Mr. Brazel, very much.
Thank you, sir. Are there any other speakers on the Highway P overpass? Yes, Mr. Bogart.
Good evening, council members. Thank you very much for the time. Mr. Illman, thank you very much. I'm not going to repeat statistics. Everybody knows what those are. You folks have worked on this project for a long time, and you've made great headway, and it is now right at the point of moving forward with actually turning dirt and putting something in place, and we appreciate that very much. As I do understand it, the gentleman that just spoke is correct in that there's a little bit of a snafu right now, and strange as it may be, it probably comes down to money. When the city of Wentzville, MoDOT, Flint Hill, and St. Charles County all agree on something, it happens, and we appreciate that. But when it comes to, okay, now it's time to figure out who's going to pay what for that, now it becomes a discussion topic. And as I understand it, from talking with my district representative, Mr. Cronin, and alderman from the city of Wentzville, it may be something as simple as a misunderstanding of what lies in place. I have not seen, I saw what I think is the latest rendition and design of the interchange, and I think that is what has been agreed upon by St. Charles County, in Wentzville, MoDOT, and Flint Hill, but there seems to be an issue of a dollar amount that was agreed to, then a change was made and more money was asked for, and then it was reverted back. I just ask that everybody put this on the table, everybody look at the same drawing and saying, hey, is this what we agreed to? If it is, here's the dollar amount that the St. Charles County has agreed to put forth for this project. If it's something more, then take a look at it and say, okay, yeah, we will support additional funding for this project, or no, this is the same project that we agreed to before for the dollar amount signed, and let's turn some dirt. I thank you, everybody, for my time that you've afforded me, and appreciate all your considerations.
Thanks, Harry. Is there any other speakers on the Highway P overpass?
Yes, good evening, council members, county executive. My name is Tom Dawes. I'm at 209 Eagles Perch Court in Wentzville, Missouri. Longtime parishioner of St. Theodore Parish, Knights of Columbus member in Flint Hill. And I just wanted to express our gratitude for the work that's been done thus far on moving this interchange forward. Having two teenage drivers that have gone through driving, trying to get on Highway 61 from Eagle Point, trying to get off going into Flint Hill. As you can imagine, this intersection is of a lot of concern to myself and neighbors that have young children. I still have a 9-year-old at home that will be driving soon, and I'd really like for her to be able to drive on outer roads to get to Highway P. Incident management is one thing that I don't know a lot of people have talked about. We all know the dangers associated with fatalities and crashes at this interchange, but anytime there's any kind of an incident on 61, north or south of this interchange, there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere for our law enforcement authorities to direct traffic, and no outer road system anywhere. So basically traffic shuts down from on the south side Highway 70 all the way up towards Troy. So just wanted to make sure everyone's aware, the Archdiocese, as we just read in our parish bulletin this weekend, has identified Western St. Charles County as a very large growth area. St. Theodore, my parish, now has plans for building a new church or expanding our existing church. In the city of Flint Hill, there's 3 brand new soccer parks that have been developed in the last 5 years. As we all know, soccer parks have a lot of families that attend those practices and games and a lot of activity. So there's a lot of growth that we know is occurring out there. There's some new subdivisions that are going in up near Dietrich Road that contribute to the traffic. There's some new apartment complexes near Highway A in Wentzville that are going in that are all going to contribute to the traffic. And if you've ever been to this area around Highway P and 61 or Eagle Point where Bedford Falls is at, a little bit north of there, trying to get on the highway at rush hour is next to impossible. It's very difficult. And one of the most confusing things is trying to figure out who has the right-of-way. So if you're trying to go onto Highway P as you're going southbound on 61, the traffic that's going north, some people are getting off on P while people are trying to cross. As the gentleman indicated, there's been numerous T-bone crashes there just because people really don't understand exactly who has the right-of-way and who is yielding to who. So bottom line, I just wanted to thank all of you for all the work that's been done thus far and reiterate the importance of this interchange. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Are there any more speakers on the Highway P overchange?
Good evening. My name's Cheryl Cross. I live at 1138 Silo Bend Drive in Wentzville. And transparency, I am an elected official, one of the aldermen for the city of Wentzville. I want to take this time again to thank you all for what you do for St. Charles County and the executives as well. I am here to let you know that I am doing my due diligence for our citizens and businesses in this corridor as an elected official to ensure that Wentzville is digging into all the details, doing a timeline to learn the information that is necessary to be very responsive to the county and to you, to make sure that there's nothing going on that would cause any further delays from Wentzville's side, because we do have an invested interest. The city has put aside $2,795,000 aside for this project, and we look forward to being one of your team partners, just as what was displayed tonight in teamwork. And I believe in teamwork, and I think MoDOT, Flint Hill, Wentzville, and St. Charles County were an excellent team, and we can get this done. So again, thank you very much for all of your time and all that you do for Wentzville. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cross. Are there any other speakers on the Highway P? Okay, moving on, are there any other speakers on any other topic on the agenda or concerning St. Charles County? Okay, that concludes public comments. We typically don't make comments until it's bills on the floor. However, since you folks don't have something on the agenda, Joe, you want to make a motion to?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion just to address your concerns real quickly.
To amend the agenda for council comment. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah, what we're going to do is we do have, Mr. Cronin represents that end of the county, and we also have our highway. We have John Greifuse and Don Bamer. So we have our people in the room that we can address some of these issues. And after Mr. Cronin, I'm going to ask whoever one of those three guys know, or Steve maybe, or someone, or Don. Okay, yeah, Joe, go ahead.
Hi, I just want to let you know that's a priority for you folks. It's also a priority of mine, okay? I live on Highway P in St. Paul. My son just got married a little while ago, and him and his wife bought a house in Hannah Ridge on Piney. So my grandkids will travel in the same route you're concerned about. Everything was pretty well on track with this, and I think everybody's very committed to the project. Until about I think end of January, there became some issues about the design being changed from a diagonal to a roundabout design. 2 weeks ago, I found out about this problem from Wentzville, And I met with Wentzville's mayor, many of their aldermen. I also had a Sunday meeting with a representative of St. Theodore's, Tom Rothamick, and Flint Hill Board of Aldermen, and showed them the various designs and the benefits of both. Then there was a subsequent meeting with Wentzville, MoDOT engineers, our Director of Transportation for the county. And the problem, I guess, boils down to it is there's been two different designs floated with two different dollar figures involved. And Wentzville first wanted a roundabout design and requested $2.5 million, which the county did agree to. And then they came back with a traditional diagonal design and asked for $3.5 million, which the county road board, which is made of citizens just like you folks, also agreed to. Now they're back to the roundabout design, and the request is for $3.5 million. So it's something that MoDOT and our county transportation director, I met with Mr. Elman on Friday for 2 hours, and I explained every bit of concerns that I heard from St. Theodore's, from Flint Hill, from Wentzville, from MoDOT, okay? I just say that everybody's committed and everybody's on board. These things take a little bit of time, but we know it's a priority and we're working on it. And I thank you for coming out to the meeting, but same token, I talked to the Wentzville Public Works Director about an hour and a half ago. I think we're figuring out things, and I think we're going to get this resolved. It's just unfortunate that we can't get it moving quicker. But when you're dealing with MoDOT and they're in financial straits, with the county, we have very specific rules that the road board has to follow. And also, we're looking long-term what's going to best serve that community. And there's two competing designs, and that's where the issue is. But bear with us, it'll get worked out, okay?
Don, or Steve, is this for, I got a couple questions. Is this for you, Don, or Craig, or John?
Well, I was just wondering if we could ask the Ms. Cross to come back up.
Ms. Cross?
I'd like to ask her a couple questions. If that's okay with you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
Do you prefer alderman or alderwoman?
I prefer Cheryl.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming. And first of all, let me say that this project, 3 years ago, John, was not on our radar screen at all. And it was in response to the tragedies that were occurring out there that Councilman Cronin basically came and said, can we get something, and more importantly, can we speed it up? So the first thing, you've probably been around enough to know that these projects take time, and especially when you got 3 people that have to agree, and you got to do your environmental and everything else. The frustrating thing, and has the mayor sent you a copy of the letter that we sent?
The one that came on Friday?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, okay. And Mr. Cronin already alluded to the fact, were you on the council when the original asked for the roundabout?
Yes.
Okay, and then somebody changed their mind and came back and asked for a diamond interchange plus an extra $1 million.
The council was not privy to that information.
Okay, well,
That was
I'll
not
ask
asked.
John to clarify that.
That-
But I mean, I guess what I'm getting at here, is everybody on the council familiar with the fact that we sort of have this last minute change now?
No.
People wanting to go back?
No, sir.
Okay, well, I hope you'll take that message back. Doesn't mean we can't work it out.
Right.
But it's this last minute change, and I think that you probably appreciate this. I'm sure you have a process too. We've got this road board process. And, basically the road board has approved one project for 2.5, another one for 3.5. But now we have yet a third proposal. And, what I say in the letter is you can have the first one, you can have the second one, or you can go back and ask the road board, to approve this latest thing. Now, I'll ask John, but my understanding is this latest change sort of took us by surprise.
Correct. And are you speaking of design number 5 that MoDOT has presented? That was the 5th design. Is that the design
I
that
just
you're
know
referring
that,
to?
I know that we were ready to build a regulation or regular diamond interchange and put $3.5 million into the project. And I guess you're saying that the impetus, the changes came from MoDOT, not from the city council or the Board of Aldermen.
Correct. In a
Okay.
meeting that I was in with Mr. Gratzu, Mr. Cronin, MoDOT, a couple representatives from MoDOT, they explained to us the concerns, and then they provided to Mr. Gratzu and to Mr. Cronin a fifth design, hoping
Okay.
that would
So that-
satisfy.
That last design didn't come from the city, it came from MoDOT.
Right.
Okay, and we have a meeting scheduled on Wednesday to find out
Okay.
what that is all about.
Awesome,
Okay?
awesome.
So we will do that and continue to stay in contact.
Okay.
And be assured, I mean, this is not about, there's a process we can go through to determine what is the best thing to do here.
Right.
But it's the process that we're concerned about.
Right,
Because we
and-
do a lot of, as you know, we do a lot of projects. There's people, once they get the project approved for X amount of dollars, and then we can't let them just keep moving, changing the project. Now, it's important that what you're telling me, you're not trying to change the project, it's MoDOT. So I'm glad to hear that.
Can I say
But at some
one?
point, we need to go, we need to go with what the road board has approved, or at least go back and ask them, is it okay to change this?
Okay, can I speak on
Sure.
it? My understanding, in the meeting that we had, my understanding, those road improvements were to satisfy and answer some questions that came from the St. Charles County Road Board. So that's why
Which, this last MoDOT proposal?
the last MoDOT, I don't know who
Okay.
asked for the
I'll ask
last
John
MoDOT,
about
but
that.
I
He's
know Mr. Gratzu, he had
John.
not seen it,
John.
so.
Can you
Yeah.
come up here, please?
Yeah, that's fine.
I know
Well,
he
I
had
don't-
not seen it. None of us had seen
No,
it.
I want to ask him some questions.
Okay, go ahead. Why don't you go ahead and ask her, and then I'll ask John.
Well, I was just going to ask, Cheryl, I was just going to ask John,
Okay.
maybe you can enlighten us. Why are we having to, is it, MoDOT, whoever, can we just move this thing forward and do what we need to do to get this thing on track? And is MoDOT holding it up, or what can you tell us?
Well, until February 19th, and when Steve says this kind of caught us all by surprise, it's changed. As of January 28th, the city and the county have been working together towards the project that we prepared an application. I'm going to just throw this here real quick, showing the date of that. I don't know if that kicks on. Get ready. Well, this is January 30th of 2013. What I want to point out about this is I remember, Mr. Gossett, you and I met at the time of the city meeting. The pastor of St. Theodore Church came in, and everyone was very passionate. The story that you told rings a bell with me today just as well as it did 3 years ago. And during that time, we were trying to figure out how could we best solve that problem. And what we came to, the conclusion of the city and everyone else, and you can see this was an application of the county executive. He signed this application. We secured, not only did we provide $3.5 million in county money, but we secured from MoDOT another $6 million. So the county is coming to the table on this project with $9.5 million of a $12.5 million project. So everybody says this is MoDOT money, but this was MoDOT's money is due to an application prepared by the county and secured by the county. That project included not a concept, but a very specific plan that was developed by Wentzville that they submitted to the county road board. They applied, as the county executive mentioned, for two concepts. First one was for a roundabout interchange at this location. The road board recommended and said, we can provide $2.5 million for that project. The city of Wentzville came back and said, what if we did this design, a traditional diamond interchange? It provides connections to the outer roads, as you can see. And the road board came back with a recommendation of $3.5 million. As part of this application, I just want to flip through a few other things. Sorry, I don't want to linger on too far, but that concept and those dollar amounts were then supported by MoDOT. As you can see, they approved the application. They wrote a letter of support for the application. East-West Gateway also supported and provided a letter of support for the application. The city of Wentzville, signed by Mayor Gouchian at that time. The Wentzville PD. Flint Hill, as well as St. Theodore Parish. I'll get that into the projector. So we have been all on board since August of 2013, working towards the construction and elimination of this dangerous at-grade with this design. At January 28th, going back to that date, that critical date, January 28th of this year, the county executive and Councilman White voted to amend East-West Gateway's long-range plan to include this project. That allowed that environmental clearance documents, which anytime you build an interchange onto a MoDOT freeway, you have to go through this whole big, long environmental process to be signed by Federal Highway in Jeff City. We just got that done. And we received a letter on February 19th from the city saying, we want to now change the design
February 19th of this year.
of this year. So we got January 28th, we got East-West Gateway approving, Federal Highway approving this concept. County has $3.5 million into it. We have a signed contract with Wentzville and MoDOT to get this done. We received a letter from the mayor saying we want to change to a roundabout concept. Now, that was obviously not at the city's request. They're saying that's because MoDOT is saying that's a safer design. But still, they're the one that signed the letter. But I think the best way, if we want to move this project forward, is really for the city and the county to say, MoDOT, quit playing with this design. Quit looking at other alternatives. Go back and build what we applied for back in 2013, and let's just get it done. And the best way is not for the city and county to fight over this on what the best design is. Let's just say, just get done what we looked at 3 years ago, done with it. So that's kind of, I think, where we stand on this. And if, we want to look at other designs, the process is that they do need to go back to the road board. And we have a road board that is set up to kind of act as that buffer so that these projects don't become politicians talking to politicians and the funds get programmed based upon political will versus a process.
So if it goes back to the road board then and it changes the design, then it has to go through all those other does it have to get the environmental study and all that all over again?
They'll have, and that's the other thing is that MoDOT, even in their letter, when they support saying that they like to go with the roundabout option, they say it's going to require that they go back and get a renewal of the
Which
environmental document.
The other documents took 2 years to approve?
To get approved. And
Oh.
so that may not take 2 years. They say it's going to be a quicker review process, that it's a simple review and Federal Highway will sign off on it quickly. But its additional review is additional risk. Why take that risk? Why not just go with what's been approved by Federal Highway and get it done? And that's,
Well, that's a good explanation. Does anybody, Joe, you have anything, or Ms. Cross, do you have any comments or questions?
No, but I would like to know on the designs. Thank you, Mr. Gratzu. On the design, what plan is that? Number 1?
this is what was originally in the EA. So I don't know what number MoDOT has labeled it or.
What's a date stamp?
Blue
This is back
design.
2000. And it's with the original application. It's the.
Original application.
yeah,
So it's the original
January-
design.
Yeah, the January 2013.
John, Ms. Cross, he can PDF that to you. Is that, yeah, he can get a packet,
That's
so
fair.
you have it.
And I do appreciate your time and the explanation, and I will go back to our mayor and our council and give them an update. So I do appreciate it.
So one question, John, if Wentzville came back and said, okay, we're done, we're just gonna go with the plan that was everybody approved, then we're a go, right? Pretty
Should
much.
be, I think it should be right into the design. It's my understanding that, it's not construction this year, but it'd be hopefully ready to go in next construction season.
Is that right, Don?
Yeah.
We need MoDOT to be on board. Apparently, this new design is coming from MoDOT based upon concerns that they have. And so we obviously need the city and the county to work together and say, let's just get built, what we originally said. And obviously MoDOT, you're right, MoDOT would have to be in agreement with this also.
Okay. Steve?
This just needs a little time. I mean, I think I pointed out in the letter that I sent a copy of the letter to your board, that Mr. Elman and the county administration need just a little time to work through this. This is a complex issue, and there's a lot to change that was introduced at the very end. When I talked to your Public Works Director today, Susan Mueller, she told me she didn't even know about the original roundabout design. So there's been some miscommunication we can work through, and I got full faith in the county administration to get this resolved and get this project rolling.
Thank you very much. That's all we can ask.
And I think, we joked about whether you said design 5, is that which one? I think we've lost track with the preparation of the document, the original concept, and what MoDOT has done, what number they're on. And that's why I think it's just, you know, if we can just go back to the original plan that we all agreed upon, we all said was a safe project, I think we can get this done quickly.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
Can I
Steve.
ask John a question?
Yes, John.
Again, you know, the process here, I think, is important, and we don't want to slow anything down, but, I mean, we can't just bypass the road board. I mean, they approved apples, and we can't change it to oranges without asking them.
Oh, that's correct. I mean, I think if we do that, it's just we have made other cities for much smaller situations go back and reapply to the road board when they change designs. And a lot of them, people will come to us and say, well, this is, you know, the argument that I heard from MoDOT when we met the other day was that they thought the roundabout was safer because people travel slower. Okay, maybe at that particular intersection, not for the overall safety problem that we're trying to solve, but if it is a better design, they need to go back and reapply and justify that to the road board. Like I said, we've had other cities say that this project is safer, and they've had to go back and they've justified it, and a recommendation is made.
Mr. Chairman, one more question. The difference, of course, between this project and most of our road board projects is most road board projects are city and county,
Right.
or in some cases, just the county.
Right.
Bringing in that third person, now all of a sudden, you know, you got three organizations with three different procedures on getting some things done. So it has been a challenge. But was I right when I said earlier that this project has moved probably as fast as any we've had?
It has. I think the slowest part on this is, you saw the January 30th, 2013. The date that MoDOT executed the agreement for this project was August of last year. So it took them almost 18 months to sign the contract to get started. But after that contract, in this last 7 months, they've made a lot of headway. So it has moved fast. It's moved fast through our processes of providing funds quickly. We actually, the council has forward-funded much of the work that MoDOT's done over the last 7 months through that, as well as the city of Wentzville. They also have forward-funded their design money to try to get this done as quickly as possible. So I think the city and the county have done with their dollars as much as they can to get MoDOT accelerating. It's just unfortunate that all of a sudden there's this new design that version 5, version 6, yellow, orange, green, I don't know anymore. So.
Well, and again, you mentioned that Councilman White and I voted to put this on the tip on January 28th. If I remember, Greg Horn, the engineer, was sitting right there, and he didn't stand up and say, whoa, wait a minute, we're going to change our mind here. And my guess is he probably didn't know that people were changing their mind, and that's why I think we have this meeting with him on Wednesday. We can find out what's going on here, and hopefully get it worked out.
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you, John. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to make a comment that you all think it's going fast, but I've lived on Piney Road and Highway 61 my whole life. 2002, we had a meeting in Wentzville about getting this started. They were going to start raising money in 2006 and start building in 2010. My mom told me then she'll never see the overpass. Okay, she just turned 86. She's fought lymphoma this last year. She's had 6 chemo treatments, her port and everything. She's made it through it. She's been fighting, and she's still saying, I'll never see that overpass. And I'm like, please, you know, and we're always afraid that one of our, I have a 17-year-old grandkid, one of our kids, when you hear the sirens, it's like everybody on that side calls everybody on this side to see if they're in the wreck. It sounds fast to you all, but it sounds really long when you live right there and you hear those sirens all the time. Okay. So please, find something. If the original one's safe, go with it. We need something. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you for your comments. Okay, let's move on to the regular agenda. We're not going to be discussing Highway P anymore if you guys want to go. We just did that for this. Are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda?
Motion for approval of the consent agenda.
I-
Oh, I'm sorry, didn't.
Can we remove the transportation?
Make a motion.
Make a motion, we remove the transportation.
Second, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, that's been removed. Anything else, Mike?
No.
All right, the motion on the,
Motion for the remaining portion of the consent agenda.
Second.
all those in favor say aye. Aye. Approved? Okay, Mike.
I just think we need to at least spend some time in talking about this Gateway Green Light Phase 3 program, only because it's over $300,000. So can we at least have a bit of an update on this as to what is this $300,000 charge? And I'm sure it's necessary, but just a little bit more than putting it on the consent agenda would be nice.
Very good point.
Do you want, are you asking for, you want him to do that now, or are you
I
asking
do,
for?
yes.
Okay.
All right, the Gateway Green Light project continues to seem like a never-ending project, and so I sympathize with that statement. Last year, we went out and applied for another federal grant, another CMAQ grant for additional work. This is a contract for the additional design work. It's an 80-20 project, 80% coming from the federal government, 20 that would be coming out of our transportation tax. First two phases of the project, first phase basically put into place the software at MoDOT's TMC. It put in some field devices. The second phase of the project, which we received funding, put in a lot of fiber in the ground, that communication network in St. Charles. This third phase, which we secured money for, will put in, now that we have a network and we have a server bank back at MoDOT's TMC, we'll put in some of the fun devices that will help us monitor traffic. And so this is a contract for that engineering services to determine what some of those devices should be, where should they be located, and it also does include a little bit more fiber network build out also.
Do we have a launch date for this?
And in each step, it is operational. We are currently talking to all 330 signals in the county,
Okay.
monitoring those in real time. Our cities are able to determine whether a signal's in fault. They receive texts. So pieces of the program are online, and more of it's coming online each and every day.
So if we had an issue, per se, on 70, and we had to move traffic to Mexico, we could change those stoplights now?
We could. It would be difficult.
Okay.
Some of the projects that the council has approved previously was arterial management interface. When that gets done, it'll make it a lot easier because they'll actually will provide preset timing plans that will allow that to happen. So you could change 5 signals at a time along a corridor or 10 signals along a corridor. Right now, we have the capabilities to remotely do it, but it'd be 1 signal at a time and it'd take a lot of effort.
So when do we expect to have all of Gateway Green Light rolling for St. Charles County?
All of it done forever and ever. Amen.
Amen. Randy Travis said it best, man.
I think Gateway Green Light could be one of these programs that we continually always build because technology is changing.
Okay.
When will we have the major functionality where we can do some of the neat things that you just mentioned? I expect that'll be probably more towards the first quarter next year.
Great.
I've got a question. Not only will this cover I-70 and state roads, but municipal streets will be covered. For instance, like with Mid Rivers Mall and Mexico Road, for instance, be covered?
Yes, those signals currently are within the program. They're being monitored back live at the TMC. And yeah, as we get through these other previous approved parts, all of those will allow us to say there's an accident on I-70, want to divert traffic down Mid Rivers Mall Drive to 364. Yeah. That's what we'll have the capabilities to start doing.
And all the cities in the county are pretty well signed on to this?
Yeah, we have one agreement that's our one signed off on, and we're working on an amendment that really gets into the details of what type of notification is needed, what kind of notification does the county need to provide a city before they allow the operator to change signals, timings. Obviously, there's sensitivity with the operation of traffic signals within municipalities, and so the wording and working on that language right now is a little challenging, but I think we're going to get through it.
Okay. And will the operation of this down the road be affected by MoDOT funding's lack of funding? I mean, is this something that they're going to definitely take care of, or are they going to come back 5 years from now and say, we're out of money, folks? Okay.
Well, this is mainly the GGL program. It ties in MoDOT signal and the information from the MoDOT system, but it's really looking at the state, the city and the county infrastructure. So I see it being the maintenance and ongoing response of this traffic signals and all that. That's going to be done by the cities just like they've done for years.
Okay.
The operation of the software, maintenance of the software, those things that span multiple jurisdictions, those are things as a county that we're saying that, yeah, those make sense for us to maintain and operate those systems because they affect multiple jurisdictions. So it's not tied really to MoDOT's funding on that.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Steve?
A question. Just in conclusion, and I appreciate Mr. Elam's concern and wanting to talk about this. Let me just make sure of two things. This is not mission creep, right?
No, this is-
We're doing what we told people we were going to do and no more, no less.
Correct.
And it's not cost overruns.
Correct.
It's just something that we've been spilling out there a little bit at a time instead of doing one big, giant contract.
It's part of an overall plan that we're building as we secure federal funds to build. And
Okay.
so this is just a third phase of a multiple phase process. And the question that you asked, which I love, is how many phases are there? The answer is, I don't know.
Infinity
As we
and beyond.
continue to work together with our cities, there may be a phase 4, there may be a phase 5. Part of the goal of this project is if we can be competitive, secure federal funds, especially CMAQ funds, and bring them into the county, improve traffic flow, and we collectively say it's a good system to work towards, I could see there'd be a phase 4. I could see that there'd be a phase 5.
Joe?
Okay, yeah, Mike?
I got to admit, I kind of looked at it the same way that's using Steve's comment of mission creep. When things come in as a change order, it makes my antenna go up, because change orders to me mean something unplanned happened, not something planned. And you're saying that change orders is the tool that we're going to use to continue this project, and that I'm having a hard time understanding that.
No, this is a bid. This was
Okay.
this is new services that for a new project that was secured, we went off for an RFQ process, negotiate with the design consultant. So it's not a change order. This is a whole new agreement for a whole new phase of the project. So it's not mission creep.
Contribute one small comment? Mr. Elam's motion was to take transportation off the consent agenda, and there are in fact 2 transportation items. One is a new bid for Phase 3. The other, under miscellaneous, is indeed a change order, as Mr. Klinghammer.
I was looking at that one.
Okay. So
And I
the
was
question
referring-
is, what was, can you clarify the motion that Mr. Elam made and that the
Well,
council...
Mr. Elam?
That would be the Gateway Green Light program.
They're both Gateway
The
Green Light.
the $302,000 agenda item
For Phase 3.
for Phase 3 was the part. Thank you.
Did
I'm
you want to
sorry
talk about that other item too, Mike, because he can amend his motion, or are you good?
Well, technically, we've already done it,
All
but John, while you're here, what is the other one? It's a relatively small dollar amount, but
And I didn't grab that one. How much was it? Like a 6,000?
$695.
If I recall right,
It's the fiber and communication upgrades.
if I recall right, there's a draw line attached to that. Part of this program is we're using infrastructure that's currently exists. And one of the pieces of infrastructure that we're using is conduit that the city of St. Charles has coming from Hawks Nest down West Clay. And when they put that in place, they did it as one very, very long bore. And so this change order is putting intermediate pull boxes so you can access that conduit so that we can pull new fiber optic cable through it and use it for Gateway Green Light. They were using theirs for communications between their Justice Center and their City Hall. So instead of putting a whole new duplicate infrastructure, one of the goals of this program was to look at, is there existing government infrastructure out there that we can basically piggyback upon to help reduce the deployment of this project? And that's a change order to make that
That's
more
fine.
usable.
Okay? Any
Yeah,
other?
and just as a point of clarification, the only reason I did that is anytime something comes in that's a high dollar amount like that, it's, in my opinion, it at least deserves to be discussed openly, so we don't at least give the impression that we're just passing things through that are large dollar amounts. And I think most people would agree, well, it used to be $300,000 was a lot of money. These days, I don't know anymore with the billions that get thrown around. But for the county, I still think $300,000 is a lot of money. So when something like that comes through on a consent agenda, it at least I think deserves some time for some discussion.
Also, with that being said, and I know we just passed it because but on the change order number, on the Kessel Excavation Company on Interstate Drive Phase 2, John?
That's not me.
Oh, he left, okay. Okay. Okay, any other questions or comments?
No, I would move that we pass it as read.
Okay. Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That is, the consent agenda has been passed in its entirety. Moving on to bills for introduction.
Bill number 4196, requested by Wayne Anthony, sponsored by Joe Brazel, an ordinance granting conditional use permit 25317 for self-storage or mini warehouses and boat sales to Raymond Group Missouri LLC and Mitchell Raymond.
Okay, Mr. Raymond, do you want to come up?
Mr. Chairman, while he's coming up, if on that Kiesel change order,
Yes, sir?
if it's anything other than a unit cost change order, I'll let you know.
Okay. Okay, how you doing?
Great.
You were before this board, what, 7 months ago, and you had, kind of give us a real quick recap.
We went in for original license about a year ago, and we put several items on our project list that we were going to do with the property. And we are going to do an amendment this week or in the very near future to boil it down to RV and boat and trailer storage and mini storage.
So you're going to, this bill, this request that you're having now, you're going to meet with Wayne Anthony's office, and you're going to make some changes? You're going to take the sales portion out of it?
Correct. We're going to take the sales force out because that had a lot to do with the traffic impact and the interest of the property. And we're going to keep the mini storage and the outdoor storage for the RV and the boat.
Okay. You guys have any questions for him? Dave?
Not for him, no.
Okay, I do have questions for either Wayne or Robert, whoever.
I think Robert just got the nod.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, while he's coming up, I do want to say that the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended this approval 9-0.
Thanks, Dave. I don't have any questions for you. Robert, I got a couple questions. I was reading on section 2, a couple of the conditional use conditions. And one, I noticed number 2, it says only currently licensed automobiles, trucks, utility trailers, RVs, boats may be stored on the site.
Right.
Who put that in there?
That was recommended by county staff and then approved, or recommended, I should say, by the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Okay, so this is an RV, this is a storage lot, correct?
Right.
So if a gentleman buys an old car and he wants to fix it up, he's going to restore it, but his wife starts yelling at him because it's sitting in the driveway, he can't put that at this storage lot?
I think you can store it indoors in the existing buildings, but in terms of the outdoor storage, it's meant to prevent essentially turning into a salvage yard, because the application is for boat and RV storage, and like you see elsewhere in the county.
But that just seems unreasonable to me, because if you have or you even have a camper that you go deer hunting and you use it in November and then the plates expire and you haven't got around to licensing it, I think that's a burden for the business owner. I think it should be removed. If it is removed, it's not an ordinance, so these are just conditions. So I'll talk to the applicant. If he has a problem with it, it just doesn't make sense to me, because we have that ordinance that doesn't allow trailers in people's yards, that's so big, 24, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're trying to do the right thing and move it, and
Right.
they don't get it licensed right away, then they can't keep it there. I don't agree with that. So that's one point. And then the other one is, let's see. What was it? There was another one, I think. Mike, you got a question while I'm...
Yeah, I was always under the impression that all of our storage lots were that way, that you had to have it licensed, or is that, are we changing that, or is this a new condition, or is that something that we've done on all the storage lots?
Typically, we'll try to treat all the similar uses the same. If there's a conditional use permit for an RV storage lot or boat storage lot, we'll try to use the same conditions so that there's some uniformity.
The other ones that have been passed, do they have this condition in it, or do they not have it in it?
I don't recall specifically, but I can get you that information. I believe
Okay.
I believe it does.
And I guess my viewpoint on it is that we just need to apply it equally across the board, whichever way it is, then unless we're having problems with our other storage lots turning into junkyards. But I haven't noticed that anywhere, so I'm kind of like Joe, I don't know where this is coming from then.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No.
I think how some of the cities handle it, because I think Joe's scenario, if somebody buys an older car, wants to restore it, doesn't have plates for it, I think how some of the cities handle it is they require those cars to be covered, okay? If it doesn't have current plates, I think they have to have it covered, in other words, with a cover. I'm not certain about that, but it might be something might be looked at. So that, I know Fallon's that way. If you don't have current plates on it, you have to have it covered to store it.
I don't think it can be covered in the driveway though, with plates. I still think that's illegal, but,
I don't know.
and so.
Find out.
Any questions for Mr. Meyer? Okay, thanks, Robert.
Sure.
Mr. Ram, do you have any questions or comments?
No, sir.
Okay, then we'll hear from you after you get with community development and see if you guys worked it out or whatever it is you're trying to do. Okay? All right, thank you.
Bill number 4197, requested by Wayne Anthony, sponsored by Joe Brazel, an ordinance granting conditional use permit 25503 for veterinarian hospital to Animal Medicine and Surgery LLC, doing business as Crossroads Veterinary Hospital.
Okay, are the applicants in the room? You want to come up real quick and just, this is a non-zoning change, so it's just a conditional use, right, Wayne?
Yes.
Yeah, and so that's good. And you guys are just doing all kinds of animals and horses?
small animals.
Small animals, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and there were no, Dave?
The planning zoning recommended approval 9-0.
Okay, any questions, anybody? All right, well, thank you guys for coming in, okay? Okay,
Bill number 4198, requested by Wayne Anthony, sponsored by John White, an ordinance reversing the Board of Zoning Adjustments decision in variance 25239.
okay, Mr. White, any questions?
Is the applicants here?
She was ill. She had called in and said that she was ill.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, is this in John's district?
Yes.
Yes, yes. You are here, okay.
Do you want to, John, or does this, you
Yeah,
want
I'd
to
just
give?
like to ask you, why should we approve this? What is your motives? What do you wish to do?
Well, I was basically wanting to keep the animals that I have. That's why I filed the variance. But my name is Kimberly Ann Everton, and I reside at 4149 Providence Drive, St. Charles, Missouri, 63304. And as of tomorrow, March 10th, I will be 50 years old. And for the first time in 2014, I was informed that there was even a limit law for pets. Never in all these years of going to multiple veterinarians for shots, alternating, et cetera, for earaches, et cetera, any of them. Nobody has denied me the right to license these dogs all in my name to the same address. And if this was illegal by law, I feel that I shouldn't have been allowed to do this, which means I wouldn't even be in this situation today. Also, the Humane Society could have given written notice or oral notice back in 2010 that I needed to get rid of them, that there was a limit law. Never was that the issue. It was a barking complaint that I had back in 2010, and the case was closed due to the problem solved. Then 3 years later, a complaint was by the same address, acting like he's been complaining for years and years, and nobody's done anything about it, which is false. According to Officer Laro from the St. Charles Humane Society, basically said, and I quote, "I do not even know how the city got your case. Your record shows the 2 complaints were closed due to owner complied with the law, barking collars were lent out with no citations or fines of any kind ever. I also believe that Mr. Barberry, that is on a revenge mission because of a past occurrence over the fact that a tree had fallen down on my neighbor's and myself's property, and it crashed our fences. My kids, my husband, my neighbors were all out to remove the tree off our fences and started to replace our fences. My husband was out with a chainsaw cutting this tree up when this Barberry comes through the woods screaming about him cutting up the animal's natural habitat. We were shocked because the understanding that the property on our deed shows that was common ground and not even owned land. So I asked, if this is your property, then you should pay for these 2 fences that your tree collapsed on. And then all of a sudden in 2010, I start getting complaints on my dogs, which are false. My dogs, basically, he complained that they were being bred. I brought the documents to state, shows that the dogs are all fixed back in 2010 or before. If you want me to approach the bench, I can bring those to you. They are not a constant or a nuisance barkers. I looked up the law on that, and basically the only thing I could find is that they're allowed at 10 minutes time intervals during the day and like 5 minutes at night, throughout the night. So I have taken the time to like set a timer when the dogs go out. So I know that they don't go out forever any more than 10 minutes. My neighbors who are a lot closer than the neighbor that's complaining have all signed petitions that I can keep my dogs. They have no problems with my dogs. These dogs are like my companions. Every one of them play a different part in my daily life. With my illness that I suffer with causes extreme vomiting, nausea, and fainting. They go always with me everywhere I go throughout the house as a protector and as my loved friends. Myself and my family are attached to them. I couldn't pick and choose like who could stay and who could go ever, and that wouldn't be right for them or us. They also suffer separation anxiety, and I do have a veterinarian that'll back that up. I took my one dog out for shots and an earache checkup. The dogs went nuts, my son said. They cried at the door the whole time I was gone with the one dog. That was just taking one out of the pack. I refused to put myself or them or my family through the loss of each other. This would be devastating to all of us, and especially for me. Stress causes a severe illness for me. I do promise not to replace these dogs after they die of natural causes. I do not plan on ever having more than 4 in the future, or not even probably that many. But for myself and my family and my companion animals, I beg to keep them. And I also, in the research of this, I've also found another case very, very similar to mine, and she was allowed her variance, and it's in the very same area as mine. And I just pleased that I'd like to keep my dogs.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Mr. Cronin, you got a question for the applicant?
This case kind of piqued my interest because I'm a dog owner myself, but I'd like to point something out that I think that this lady didn't quite tell us. In April of 2011, there was a barking complaint, and animal control did come to her house, and I'm reading right from the report. Ms. Everton had a total of 8 Pomeranians, 4 which are puppies. I advised her she was over the limit of dogs and needed to find homes for 4 of the dogs. She said she put the puppies on Craigslist but hasn't any luck. So I understand, but I think the county has been telling you since 11 that you allowed 4 dogs, that you need to get rid of 4 puppies. The other thing is I know a bit about Pomeranians, and my kids used to call a neighbor's Pomeranian Yip Yip because it yip yipped all the time. And I did a little Wikipedia search on the internet, and it said Pomeranians are prone to excessive barking. So I think we've got a neighbor here that's complaining. There's 8 dogs in a backyard, and these are like quarter-acre lots. So, you know, it's balancing this lady's privilege of having 8 dogs versus that man's privilege of being able to have some peace and quiet in his yard. And I think those rules that we have in place serve a purpose, and I think they have notified you since 2011 about those laws.
They never said nothing about being over the limit of the dogs. They just said that they didn't have enough collars for the dogs is all that they
It's on our
basically had
packet. You can
said.
look at it online, what I just said. Okay.
Okay, ma'am, thank you for coming up. We don't have any questions. I got a question. Hope, is this your department? Are you? Is that your animal
Yes.
Do you guys get, with Mr. Cronin, what he was saying, do you get a lot, are you getting a lot of complaints on barking?
We don't have a lot of complaints on this particular address, but we have had complaints in the past, yes. And at the variance, at the Planning and Zoning Committee meeting, the RP, the person who originally complained, was there, and he did say that he continues to have a problem. He's not here tonight, I don't believe, but he did say that was one of the things that he brought up before.
He is here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, hi.
Do we get, on a barking dog, or multiple dogs, does it go to the police department or go to you guys?
Barking complaints go to my department, and we handle those complaints, yes. The number of dogs an animal a person has goes to the Planning and Zoning Department.
Okay,
From what I read in reports, you guys did a fine job trying to resolve this situation, but the end result is she's in violation of the law. Okay, and you told her that in 11.
That's
And
correct.
eight dogs is, I have 2, and that's more than I need. Okay, so I understand your position fully, and I think with the barking collars and notifying this lady back in 11 and everything you did, I just want to comment that I read the whole reports, and I thought you really handled it well.
Thank you.
but yeah, keep in mind though, she's requesting a variance, so that's what, so that's to adjust allow her that fortitude.
My concern, I'm surprised it took this long to get to this point. That concerns me, that we didn't deal with this back in 11, and now it's, going on 2015. I would hope that we deal with these matters in a more quicker fashion in the future.
Who was the head of community development in 2000? Yeah, I think these folks ought to do that.
Okay, you guys, any questions for Hope? Okay, you guys, thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, one of you guys want to?
Good evening. I'm Robert Barbieri. I live at 4112 Whitewater Drive. I'd like to clarify a point. I think the lady may have me confused with someone else. I have never had a word with her. My tree never fell on her fence. I believe she's talking about my next door neighbor, who is Larry Chick. So all that point she made there is just not true. But what I can tell you this, I have complained probably about 3-4 times over the years, and we just stopped complaining because it seemed to be useless. We felt like we made our point. Everybody knows we're being disturbed, and animal control is doing as much as they can about it. I gotta say, they did a good job of responding to my complaints. But what would happen is, when the pressure's on, the dogs are quiet for about a week. And then the pressure is off, the dogs go right back to what they were doing before. So it starts 5 o'clock in the morning. I can hear them come out the house, they hit the ground barking, and it goes on till 11 o'clock at night. And it just deprives us of using our facilities in our backyard. We have a nice shaded backyard where we like to sit. We have a screened-in porch, and it just ruins the whole thing. So it's very annoying.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Mike?
Was there 8 dogs or 9? Because the page 3 of the application actually asks for a variance up to 9 dogs.
They have a cat.
Oh, they have a cat. Okay.
Cat's gone.
Okay. Thank you.
It's 8 dogs.
All right.
Dave, you have a comment? Dave?
I had a question for Wayne. When did we find out about this as far as, because the violation is a zoning or I guess Robert, the violation has to do with zoning.
Right. We received a complaint in July 2014, and that's where this stemmed from. And then at that point, we addressed it, and we asked that they come into compliance, but they didn't do so. And so subsequently, in the fall of 2014, they said they were going to apply for a variance to vary the number of animals. That came to the Board of Zoning Adjustment in, I believe it was December of, or January, I'm sorry, of 2014 or 2015. And so the Board of Zoning Adjustment denied that variance by a vote of 1 in favor and 4 against. And so it's been appealed to this body.
Yeah, so it sounded like to me if you'd have known about it sooner, if somebody from animal control would have notified you sooner, then we probably would have dealt with this. As it sounds like you all have just received it in July, that you've moved forward with this and dealing with this issue.
Yeah, we responded to this on a complaint basis and followed up on it. And we were following up from a zoning perspective. The county has been responding in 2 ways. One is that there's the noise issue, and animal control's been responding to that. And then there's just the number of animals, which is technically it's a zoning issue because we limit. The zoning concept is you treat all the property owners in the same district equally. And so it's hard to say that one neighbor can have only 4 pets and then the next neighbor can have 8 or 9. And that's the concept behind the variance requests.
Thank you.
And
Joe.
Yeah, Mike, or
And
Joe.
just to clarify things, staff is recommending that we not approve this, and the Board of Variance denied the request by 4 to 1. Is that correct?
Correct. We're asking that this body affirm the Board of Zoning Adjustments denial.
Denial.
It seems like part of the problem on all this is that the Humane Department knew that, or I guess suspected that there was a lot of dogs there and didn't talk to the zoning department. So looking forward, what are we going to do in the future? Hope to make sure that when your department knows that there's a lot of dogs in the house, we need to address it sooner than later, because we all get attached to our dogs. And I have empathy for the property owner. You know, a little more vigorous enforcement at the time the first time back in 11, when we knew that there was 4 puppies there. And there's been multiple, it sounds like by all accounts that there's been multiple noise complaints. I suspect we knew that there was more than 4 dogs. And I guess we don't do them any favors by only addressing the noise issue. So what's really the procedure for the 2 departments talking to each other?
One of the things that we just discussed based on this is that we're going to look at possibly animal control taking over the variance issue when it comes to animals, so that when we're not just responding to the barking issues, if there's over the limit, then we can look into that and roll on that as well. So that's one thing that we're discussing.
I couldn't agree more. It doesn't seem like putting number of pets in charge of planning and zoning that's a tough one. That's something you guys have more of a day-to-day impact over. Also, do we do checks? Are all these dogs licensed? I mean, in today's world of, just a moment, in today's world of computers, being able to cross-reference things, it seems like that's a pretty easy check also.
They are all licensed according to our department.
Okay, so we've known about it for a while, didn't do anything, and now we have more emotional attachments to the dogs, and we are faced with having to be potentially the bad guys of saying that some of the dogs need to leave.
My apologies for that.
That's a tough position for us to be
It's
put
a bad
in.
decision.
It's a tough situation.
I'm sympathetic to that. It's an awful, I have a dog myself, so I know this is not an easy decision.
All right.
All right, thank you, guys. All right. Oh, Steve, yes.
Can I ask Robert a question real quick? Robert, isn't this a use variance?
It's a variance request to vary the number of animals. So I don't know if it's technically a use variance. It's to the, it's variance to the extent, the number of animals that you can have, number of pets.
And we've done that in the past?
Not to my knowledge. Well, you know what? The Board of Zoning Adjustment did approve a variance for the number of pets.
Okay, and not so much about this issue, but I'm just thinking of other things. I mean, we have limits on how many people of different families,
Right, correct.
right? I mean, you
Right.
can have, what, members from just 3 different families or 3 unrelated people or something like that?
Correct. We do have, for instance, we have a definition of household.
Right,
And we
right.
limit that.
So if you're breaking that, you can go ask for a variance, and what's it gonna be based upon? How, if people have nowhere else to live, or, you know,
Right.
you become attached to your cousin who's come to live with you, or, I mean, what's?
Well, we do have the criteria in the ordinance on what variances are to be based on. And the variances are recited in the memo. And the BZA considered those criteria, and they did not determine that they met the criteria for granting a variance.
Okay.
Well,
But you think we can grant one if we want to?
You can grant one. It would be best to articulate.
I know, you're
findings.
recommending against it, but you're
Right.
saying legally you think we can?
Yes,
Okay.
legally, I think you can, yes.
Thank you.
Well, I don't think the ordinance deals with related people so much as it deals with unrelated people.
Right.
I mean, you can have related people living in your house, but when you start bringing in people that are unrelated, that becomes the issue.
Okay.
I stand corrected. You're right.
All right, thank you, Mr. Meyer. Let's move on to the next bill, 4199.
Bill number 4199, requested by Wayne Anthony, sponsored by council as a whole, an ordinance authorizing execution of an amendment to the cooperation agreement between the County of St. Charles and the City of St. Peters for the Community Development Block Grant Program for fiscal years 2011 through 2013.
Any questions or comments? Moving on to Bill 4200.
Bill number 4200, requested by Steve Elman, sponsored by Jill Brazel, an ordinance amending Section 300.001 relating to model traffic ordinance and Section 375.280.d of the Offenses Code, Ordinances of St. Charles County, Missouri, OSCCMO.
Any questions or comments? Moving on to Bill 4201.
Bill number 4201, requested by Steve Elman and David Todd, sponsored by Jill Brazel, an ordinance authorizing the county executive and police department to execute work zone enforcement program agreements with the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission for receipt of funds in the amounts of $32,951.12 and $2,000 respectively over state fiscal years 2014 through 2018.
Any questions or comments? Moving on.
Bill number 4202, requested by David Todd and Belinda Little, sponsored by Joe Brazel, an ordinance amending the 2015 budget adopted by Ordinance 14-109 for positions within the St. Charles County Police Department and amending Sections 115.710 of the Ordinances of St. Charles County, Missouri, OSCCMO, concerning the Personnel Administration Plan.
Yeah, Mr. Hammond.
This amendment, is there any increase in the budget, or is this just moving things around?
Dave?
No, sir, we're just moving some, relocating some personnel. We have a commissioned staff officer out of dispatch, who we better use back in the patrol area, make use of his skills, and we're moving a person up to run the dispatch. It involved no changing of funds.
Thank you.
Any other questions? We're moving on.
Bill number 4203, requested by Belinda Little, sponsored by Joe Brazel, an ordinance amending Sections 115.710 and 115.720 of the Ordinances of St. Charles County, Missouri, OSCCMO, concerning the Personnel Administration Plan.
Any questions or comments? Moving on.
Bill number 4204, requested by Brent Statler, sponsored by Joe Brazel, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to execute a contract between St. Charles County, St. Louis County, and St. Louis City for peer review of their auditors.
Any questions or comments? Okay, moving on to 4205.
Bill number 4205, requested by Bob Schnurr, sponsored by council as a whole, an ordinance authorizing the non-binding projected tax rates of the county for the General Revenue Fund and for various special funds of and for the County of St. Charles, Missouri for the year 2015 in order to develop the notice of projected tax liability to accompany the assessor's notice of assessed value, all as mandated by Senate Bill 711, 2008.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, moving on to 4206.
Bill number 4206, requested by Bob Schnur, sponsored by council as a whole, an ordinance amending portions of Chapter 600 Ordinances of St. Charles County, Missouri, OSCCMO, relating to licenses to sell liquor by the drink.
Any questions or comments on 4206? Seeing none, 4207.
Bill number 4207, requested by Joe Brazel, sponsored by Joe Brazel, an ordinance designating and recognizing the Greater St. Charles Convention and Visitors Bureau as the state fiscal year 2016 through 2018 representative destination marketing organization, DMO, for tourism in St. Charles County as required for participation in the Missouri Division of Tourism's Cooperative Marketing Program for the state fiscal year 2016 through 2018 funding cycle, and authorizing a contract between the county and the Convention and Visitors Bureau in the amount of $35,000.
Donna, if you could, or if there's no objections from Mike Klinghammer, the sponsored by should be Mike Klinghammer and Joe Brazel, and the requested by, or should be vice versa. Anyway, council as a whole should be on this contract as well.
Okay. So it can be requested by Joe Brazel and Mike Klinghammer and
Right.
sponsored by councils.
Right. Right, Mike?
Yes, thank you. Appreciate you pointing that out.
If you guys remember, this is a contract. Steve, did you look at this? You looked at this and everything, right? I mean, this is what this is just something that we're doing with City of St. Charles. We do a contract every 3 years on tourism and stuff, so. Okay.
Bill number 4208, request, I'm sorry, are you ready for the next?
Yeah, 4208.
Bill number 4208, requested by Hope Woodson, sponsored by council as a whole, an ordinance amending sections 240.201, 240.401, 240.410, 240.415, 240.440, 240.450, 240.455, 240.465, 240.466, 240.467, 240.468, 240.1180, 240.1487, 240.1505, 240.1510, 240.1610.b, 240.1620, 240.1740, 240.1750.b, and deleting section 240.2010, Ordinances of St. Charles County, Missouri, OSCCMO, relating to the Solid Waste Management Code and amending section 243.020 and 243.030.a, OSCCMO, relating to recycling fees.
Any questions or comments on Bill 4208? Yes, Mr. Cronin.
This thing's pretty sweeping, and it also raises the fees to the folks that transport solid waste in this county quite a bit. So I guess I'd kind of like to know, why it's needed and why do we have to increase the fees that much?
I can speak to the reasons behind it. The main reasons is to recoup our costs, which actually still doesn't recoup our costs as a whole, but it gets us a little bit closer to it. Ryan can speak on the specifics of those if you would like.
You actually inspect the trash trucks?
We do, yes.
Do you? Okay. Have you received a lot of pushback from the trash people? Okay. Waste haulers? Okay. Trash people?
No, we've not received any pushback from them.
Okay.
And in fact, the bill actually dropped some fees. The mobile roll-off containers, which are the dumpsters, we're dropping the fees for all those.
Okay. So essentially, we're still not making any money on this. We're recouping our fees.
Correct.
Thank you very much. Dave's got a question.
Yeah, Dave.
I have a question. Did we recently just add people hauling, for example, pumping out septic tanks? And is that something we're just starting to do, or was that done in the past?
Correct. We've never done that before.
Oh, okay.
So is there a fee are you saying that you're going to charge $150 now for a septic tank sludge pumper to haul the waste away?
Right. There would be a hauler fee and a truck fee.
That's extremely expensive when it costs $250 a year to have a pump from the resident. So you're going to charge another $250 for the haul fee?
Yes.
How is that? Are you telling me you're inspecting the sludge?
We're not currently doing that, no.
So how are their costs incurred on the septic tank sludge?
For the truck or for the hauler?
Well, if you're charging, you said you were charging $250 to reimburse your cost, but you're not inspecting the sludge from the sewage of the septic tanks, right?
We're currently not inspecting them, so the proposal is to start inspecting them and charge a permit fee.
It's an annual fee per truck,
Right.
not per pump, right?
I don't think they're saying they're gonna charge every time they pump out a septic tank.
So it's a yearly charge per hauler.
Right.
For the hauler.
Oh, I was totally confused.
Not for the
Yeah.
homeowner.
That was gonna be real expensive.
We would recoup all our fees and then some if we did $250 per keg.
Okay, I got you. Now you got, okay, everything's
Nobody's
calm.
inspecting your sludge, you're all right.
I don't know, now we may want to.
No. I think currently, I mean, wherever, you probably track where they get the waste material and where they take it to. Is that currently tracked?
Yeah, and the annual renewal license, in the application, they disclose that information.
So, I mean, when it goes to, like, let's say it goes to St. Peter's Sewer District, and they accept the sewage, I don't know what tests they require, if any. I don't know why we want to get in testing it if we know they're going to a proper authority to dispose of it.
It wouldn't be testing the sludge, it would be an inspection on the truck itself.
Oh, the truck itself?
Right.
Okay.
Is it, so let me make sure I understand. You're charging the waste hauler, is it just the company one-time fee or per truck, or how are you doing it?
Two things, so there's a hauler fee for the company, $250, and then there's a per truck fee. So depending on how many trucks they have, they pay a little bit different amount.
What is the per truck fee in there? Sorry.
I don't know, where is it?
I didn't see that.
Is it in? It's just below the hauler fee.
Oh,
$65 per vehicle.
Per vehicle.
$250
Yes.
per company.
okay. Then the next question, you got any other questions, Mike? Yes, sir. Next question is, on the asbestos, what changes with the asbestos hauling? I saw it in here, there's something in here, there's some black line on it. Do you know specifically what the changes are?
There's a couple of changes for it. One is under the demolition applications. We're dropping the fee for homeowners doing their own demolition. So they would still have to fill out an application, notify us if there is asbestos, but they wouldn't have to pay a special $100 fee if they had asbestos.
Do they still do the line dumpster and all that stuff?
That part of it, the air quality part, is not regulated by us. That would be a DNR requirement.
So on a commercial roofing job, when they're demoing the asbestos roof, do you guys aren't involved in that at all? That's just,
No, we would only be involved in terms of knowing where the material's going and checking the landfill receipts to know that it's properly disposed of.
okay, Dave, you any questions?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I was going to ask. So if somebody's doing some work on their house, they discover they send off and get a sample of their old siding and it's got asbestos or even flooring that may have asbestos. How do they deal with that now? Is there anything that you regulate, our county regulates?
Just in terms of disclosing that there's asbestos in the material on the demolition application, and then we would get the landfill receipts to know that they're properly disposed of it.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Moving on.
That's it.
Oh, that's it. Are there any tabled bills to be removed from the table? Seeing none, any miscellaneous comments?
I would just encourage everybody to come out and enjoy the St. Patrick's Day Parade at Cottleville. It's the largest in the area, so it's supposed to be 60-some degrees. We had 60,000 people there last year, so Get there early if you want a parking spot.
And it's my 60th birthday that day, so feel free to buy me a beer.
I'm sure you have plenty of beers that day, Joe.
But disclose that.
Okay, a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you.